The latest. Thank you for your love and support. I appreciate you all. The African has been treated as if we do not know our left from right. So for that matter, a group of people came into this continent believing that they are the source of everything. For that matter, they need to teach us what we need to be doing. And after they have left, they left us with a system called democracy, which they always use to make sure the African is still kept as a slave to worship them, and they'll continue to be having the resources because these people are hungry and they never get satisfied. Our brother, our uncle Basilma Bazie have a message for these people, especially the leaders in Africa who are folding their arms, waiting and watching what is happening to the leaders in Sahel. That see what is happening in Sahel, they should not see that and think that it's only Sahel leaders that will be affected, because the day they will stop being important and useful to these people, they will be the next target. And what they are fighting for in Mali, Niger, and Burkina Faso is for total sovereignty. They are fighting for their legitimate right, and they don't want people to come into the continent dictating to them. And that what is democracy? What we see in these democratic elected countries is people being imposed on us who are there worshipping and doing the bid of their master instead of them protecting us, the people. Like Julius Maada Bio said, they are protecting borders instead of protecting the people. And that Mali, Niger, and Burkina Faso, there's something called democracy, because there the citizens or the people are the ones who decided that the leaders should continue to lead them. And the leaders are doing everything possible to make sure they change the narrative so that the resources in their countries benefit them. If you are new here, this is the latest Dodging One. If you haven't subscribed, subscribe.
There are strategic plans to assassinate our leaders that are underway. And when I speak of strategic plans to assassinate leaders, I need to be precise so that my words can be understood. From the moment we talk about democracy, it is said that the AES countries must return to democracy. They must return to holding elections. What kind of democracy are we talking about? That question mark deserves to be raised, considering that from the 1960s to 2022, if I take the case of Burkina Faso, we have been governed by so-called Democrats who were brought in and installed by people sitting on the other side of the ocean. What has been the impact on the ground? Let me give a few examples. From 2022, that means from 1960 to 2022, that's 62 years. Compared to 2022 up to 2026, that's 4 years. In 4 years, here is what has been accomplished. When the call was made to the Burkinabe people to face the current situation in 2022, as I speak to you now, the people have reached into their own pockets and contributed 541.2 billion. The people who are said to be suffering have contributed 541.2 billion to deal with the current situation. That has never happened in our country before. So, when we talk about a suffering people, which people are we talking about? Second example I'll give, in the health sector. Even though we are in crisis at war, like our brother countries Niger and Mali, a decision was made. When you had kidney problems and needed treatment, you had to pay a deposit of 500,000. The head of state issued a decree and this 500,000 deposit was abolished. Isn't that a human right? Through the defense of human rights. Second example, at the community level. During a time of crisis, we funded 15 mobile clinics for all the regions of our country. People no longer have to travel to Ouagadougou for treatment during emergencies. In every region, there is a fully equipped clinic on site. There is no greater defense of human rights than that. A third example I will give is at the level of universal health insurance. This allows people, including those in the informal sector, to contribute 4,000 francs per year. And no matter which healthcare facility you go to, you are taken care of. Why, from 1960 until 2022, was this not done? Another example I will give. When we look at CT scans, if you have an accident right away and go to the hospital, you could die because they can't do a scan. The cost has been reduced from 50,000 to 25,000. That's a 50% reduction during wartime. But from 1960 to 2022, this was never done. Let me take, how should I put it, we have just launched the recruitment called Operation 1000 times 5. 1000 times 5 means that each year we will recruit 1000 specialist doctors over 5 years. From 1960 to 2022, those who established their democracy. There, this was never done. Let me give another example. We have just opened the hospital, the largest hospital in our country on July 29, 2025, in Abobo Dulazo, in cooperation with China. And I tell you, Your Excellency, that in our country, since 1960, it was on July 29, 2025, in Tengango, that there was a first operation allowing for a kidney transplant in our country. When someone was sick, they would take a plane. It was on the other side that they would go to have it done. It's being done in Burkina, in a country that is at war. Another example I would add, there has been the construction of 920 CSPS from 2022 to 2026 in a country that is at war. On December 21st, 2025, or even up to what we have just observed, we took stock. And it amounts to this. 38 newly built health centers. In a country at war, I could name others as well. People say, but what are human rights? It's the right to life, isn't it? What I just mentioned is to allow people to live and be in good health. Another aspect is the issue of food. You can't ask someone to be healthy if they don't eat properly. From 1960 to 2022, nothing was done. From 2022 to 2026, despite the fact that we are at war, there has been mechanization and agricultural inputs. That means just for 2025, the state invested 104 billion CFA francs in agricultural mechanization and inputs. And what result did we get? That means 104 billion, which is more than in 2024 when we spent 77 billion. And that allowed us to reach 67,000 tons of cereals to feed the population. That's not it. The defense of human rights. I'll take another example regarding the development of lowlands. The development of lowlands to allow farmers, that is peasants, to be able to take care of them. We went from 5,000 hectares. Since the 1960s up to today, we have gone from 5,000 to 25,000 hectares in 2025. But this is a country at war. And still in the area of agriculture for plowing, the peasants who have land, we take the tractors, we go and plow it for them for free. And in 2025, we have done 58,000 hectares of land, plowed free of charge for the peasants. There is no greater defense of human rights. And when I take, for example, the armed forces, among the 11 agreements where it was said that we cannot purchase equipment elsewhere. If it's not from France, we can't train our soldiers elsewhere, unless it's in France. I inform you that from 2022 to 2025, we have independently formed around 20 rapid intervention battalions, all fully equipped with at least 500 soldiers per battalion. I won't say the exact number because the walls have ears. And since these are military matters, if I give the details, you could prepare yourselves and then come. I won't give everything, I'll just give an approximate figure. Whether it's less or more, you won't know. Second example, we have formed about 10 mobile police intervention unit groups. They're already deployed on the ground. We have set up gendarmerie units. Across the entire territory, nearly 10 mobile gendarmerie squadrons, they're still on the ground. The number of air bases from 1960 to 2022 was just 1. Today, we have 4 from 2022 to 2026. 4 air bases, that's it, but I'm giving an approximate number, not the exact total. Now, the volunteers for the defense of the homeland, who have been considered militias, myself, standing before you, I am a volunteer for the defense of the homeland. A volunteer for the defense of the homeland. So it's not just people picked up off the street that we've trained to become ministers. And all those who are volunteers for the defense of the homeland, on the ground, as time goes on, we take them directly into the army without training. Those who are not fit to join the army, we place them either in entrepreneurship, whether it's agriculture, carpentry, welding. This is what is being done in Burkina. So it is essential that we ask each other to take off our blinders, to better see reality. What we are saying, people say, yes, Burkina doesn't want democracy. We have never said that we don't want democracy. Democracy is a straitjacket that people want to force us to wear, and we will not accept it. If our grandparents were forced to wear it, we are saying no. And we have the necessary ability to say no. And even tomorrow, we will say no. Liberal democracy, whose principles are based on homosexuality, whose principles are based on marriage between two children, to their mother or to their father, that is over. In Africa and in Burkina, that will not happen. In our land, that will not happen. So from this point of view, democracy has its principles. We think we can violate the Constitution, get ourselves elected 3 or 4 times, settle in, and nothing happens, even if 3,000 people are killed. We install whoever we want, and nothing happens. And someone comes to power by force of arms, supported by the people. There isn't even a drop of blood, and you think that person should go. But when it's 2 people who take my neighbor, just as an example, when you take power, not by force of arms, you say nothing, because what he does is what pleases you. And I take up arms when I say I don't agree with you appointing my prime minister, I don't agree with you imposing the minister of defense on me. Or you start calling me a putschist, someone who is unacceptable, or you create all the conditions to be able to overthrow me. So that means 2 people who came to power by force, one of them, like him, does what you want. Yes, he's a good one. A good putschist. Well, I'm just saying, it's an example I'm giving. But now, since I refuse, you consider that, well, I'm not good. The neglected element, Mr. Minister, look at the issue of human rights. To be precise, why? I said that there is an assassination looming on the horizon. When you look at human rights in Burkina, first of all, the reports that are submitted to the UN, and I will give specific examples and evidence here. To also call out the UN representatives, it needs to be echoed. When you make a report over the phone, you stop in a country, you call people on the ground, whoever you want, and you take their statements and make a report out of it. Is that really serious? It's even a lack of education. You can't say you want to go make a report on a country if that's how it's done. And you pick up a phone to call and see what's happening. Who's on the other end of the line? How do you know it's not someone you yourself put there who's telling you what you want to hear? Secondly, there's the deliberate choice of narrative. Here, in our country, we say these are terrorists, but in reports, they're called jihadists. Do you know what jihadists means? We say here, the terrorists. You call them that. Armed group. To me, they're with you, they're on your side. There's a problem. So, if you know their identities so well and you give them the names and labels they need, it means they're your representatives. So, if you stop your representatives, if you tell your representatives to stop coming to attack, the crisis won't end. They say they're not aware, Atenza or Atenla. And what did Ukraine do over there? Yes, they say terrorist, terrorist. You send your army representatives to attack countries and you talk about jihadists? Tell your representatives to stop coming, and there will be no more terrorists in the Sahel. But now, for example, I take the, how should I put it? You make a report, you call people, you put together your report. Instead of having a confrontation, even if it's in the report itself, you say, no, fine. If you did the study for 3 months, you just leave it. When there's only 1 week left to finalize the report, you then call the country's officials, and all they can do is contradict it. They will come to contradict. What? That means you're creating conditions where it's not even possible to respond. So we can't continue like this. When I say that there is a murder that is being covered up, I give you the references, you can go and check them, even on the ground. How can a major power say that? Or in a report it says yes, that satellites saw the FDS committing mass killings. Satellites that see FDS carrying out mass killings. And the same satellites are unable to see terrorists organizing to attack them. So, your satellites, are they binary or what? So, they observe selectively? So your satellites, when it's your own men, they don't see them. There really is a problem here. So I'll take the case of Gaddafi. It was exactly the same narrative that was used about Gaddafi. And here are the examples. Again, it was said that yes, human rights quickly made a report and submitted it. First of all, people from human rights need to understand that the Universal Declaration of Human Rights from 1789 was created 553 years after the Charter of Kuruk and Fuga in 1236. You can't come and teach Africans what human rights are. Take the Universal Declaration of Human Rights from 1948. It was created 712 years after the Charter of Kuruk and Fuga. That means that in Africa, we know exactly what human rights are about. So you take it, you say, yes, human rights made a report, just file it among the other reports that contributed to the decision. From Resolution 1970 and Resolution 1973, that is 1970 and 1973, which made it possible to assassinate Gaddafi, even though they said it was to create an air exclusion zone, a no-fly zone. It was a zone that was created, but they intervened on the ground, going so far as to massacre Gaddafi. And then later on, they come back and say, no, the reports that were used there, the evidence wasn't consistent. There you go. These are people who have, that's it. It's online. You can look it up. And it's on this basis that Karachi in 2025 has just been convicted for criminal conspiracy and other charges. That means that the leaders of Human Rights Watch should also be held accountable as criminals. Criminal conspiracy. That's what it means. So, to conclude these examples, I say that Burkina Faso, within the AES, we are committed, not against a people, not against a person, not against a group. But if a group stands in the way of our interests, we will defend ourselves. That needs to be clear. We are committed to reclaiming our sovereignty. Political sovereignty, for example, we will no longer have leaders imposed on us. That's one point. Economic sovereignty, for example, our resources will serve our people. Our young people who die on the shores of the oceans and those who return. That's over. Security sovereignty, for example, saying that we have to buy everything, equipment, military gear, and so on from France, that's over. We'll buy equipment anywhere. Beyond that, we aim to train our youth to manufacture them in Burkina, Niger, or Mali. Knowing the brands helps map them. We'll also build tunnels and manufacture locally. Are we subhumans? No, we have brains too. That's it. But now, cultural sovereignty means preventing the continued erosion of our identity. We are engaged in the struggle to reclaim our identity. And when I say it's a conquest, it's not just any conquest in the world, you know. We are ready. Those of us who are here, if it means losing our lives for this, we are ready.
What do we see in these democratic elected countries? We have leaders who go for IMF loan, take this money, World Bank, and some will come and be throwing Kenke party, doing nothing to change the country, doing nothing. And these are leaders who continue to be driving in big cars, moving from one place to the other with big speeches. And even the roads they claim that they are constructing within a year or two, everything is gone. These are not the leaders that we want in Africa. And people must understand that as Africans, we have every right to decide what we think is right for us. They have this motive that Africans, we are uncivilized, we don't know what to do. But these are the same people who came into Africa to learn civilization. Where did civilization start from? And before they came into the continent, how were the Africans living? We were having our own form of leadership. So people need to understand that we as Africans, if we claim we are sovereign people, we should start taking decisions for our own selves instead of following these people way of doing things and throwing everything away just to look like them and to please them. And because of our leaders who are sitting in the democratic elected countries believing that democracy is all that they need, and we the people are not moving forward, they need to wake up. This is the continent that we have everything, yet we are the most poorest people. Per the definition of these people, or physically we are poor, but beneath us we are the richest. Yet the resources in our continent are not used to benefit us. People are taking these resources out in the name of democracy. So they give you democracy in exchange of your resources. So any leader who will now rise up and give back their democracy to them and take back their resources, you become a target. And that is what we are seeing happening to the leaders in Mali, Niger, and Burkina Faso. Like the Human Rights Watch and other organizations they are using just to paint these leaders black for us to rise against them. Because that has been the script they have been writing for all the leaders that rose up to do something meaningful in Africa. And the time has come for us in Africa to understand that there is no other person that can change the narrative of this continent if we ourselves are not ready to fight for the total liberation. Why are these people so interested in giving us democracy and not any other thing? The only thing these people are so much interested in is democracy and nothing more. Why won't we sit down to ask ourselves? We have seen years that we have been practicing this system and nothing is coming out. Leaders are becoming richer who are doing nothing are becoming richer. Just simple because the person is a politician and we don't ask questions. Just a few people are making it and enjoying life while the majority of the people are suffering. But when you go to Mali, Niger and Burkina Faso right now, things have changed because they have naturalized their resources in their countries and making sure that the resources benefit their people. And this is what these people do not want, and that is why they are after them. So we need to understand that democracy can never change anything in Africa, and if we continue to be holding on to the democracy that these people gave to us, our resources that we need to use to benefit us will continue to be living, and poverty will always be the friend of Africa. United we stand, divided we fall, and united we keep standing forever and ever. The greatest enemy of the African is mental slavery. So let's decolonize ourselves from mental slavery. Let's keep sharing to educate our brothers and sisters. Together we make Africa great for ourselves and the next generations that are going to come. So that's the latest around the world, in Africa, West Africa, and in Burkina Faso.